Good morning, this is Kathy Withers from Withers Wool. I also have a page called Art Weaving on Etsy where you can find my finished goods. So when you enter my shop, I'm actually in a 5,000 square foot 1820s barn that we have totally renovated. And the first thing that you see is what I call my mood board. On Thursday mornings at 11 o'clock, I give a presentation on something that I do, and I have to tell you, they're not sales pitches. A lot of it is tutorial kind of things or curiosities that I find. So, it's just generically stuff that I hope people will find interesting. Sometimes it's an animal thing outside. Sometimes I talk about weaving. This month right here, I've been talking about, well, actually it was last month since we're already in November, but I was talking about fall colors, how I create them, and warty pumpkins. So anyhow, continuing the fall colors, I finished this blanket, and it's available on artweaving.etsy.com. This one right here, all I have to do is weave in the ends, and this one I'm going to provide as a pattern on my Withers Wool page. It'll be very inexpensive because it presents the idea and hints of things to do. It's not going to be an exact pattern, and I'm not going to tell you how much yardage you use because you make it the size you want it to be. So looking at some of the things closer, this is one of probably my most favorite pieces, priced accordingly, some people will say. And it shows pretty much most of the techniques that I knew how to do 5 or 6 years ago. And so I have lots of beaded yarns, super coils, crocheting bits that were added into the yarn. So this was actually 749 yards of art yarn that was all knitted. I think it was like 3 skeins, and I just worked in a log cabin pattern till I was finished. And I actually started here where the seashell beads are. So besides spinning art yarns, I give ideas on how to use them. So walking into my shop, this right here is to be some of my most favorite kind of yarns. They're feathered yarns, and when I spin a feathered yarn, I usually have a single that goes along with it because then you can make something with it. I kind of find, though, that when people buy stuff online, they tend to either pick the feathered yarn or the single, and then I have to go back and respin. So these are the feathered yarns that I have currently, and these are the 2 patterns that I have. Or models that I have, but I actually have that pattern there also available. I made that one 3 times, sold the model 3 times, and I kind of decided time to move on and do something else. And I don't do or spin the exact same yarn every time, so when you're buying one, you're not getting the same thing, and it's mostly because animals don't have that many feathers of the same type. Other yarns that I have that I really like are my art yarns. I call them my freeform art yarns because they have some of everything in it. If it has a hole in it or some way that I can think of attaching it to my yarn, I do it. So here's one in shades of purple, orange, etc. This one here is dedicated to sewing things. So they all have something that makes them kind of cool and different. My beaded yarns are all down here. Everything I'm showing you right now is available on Withers Wool. And all of the finished goods that you could see up here that have the patterns are available on Withers Wool. The actual finished item for most of them is available on my artweaving.etsy Etsy page, and the reason they are is because as I create, I start running out of wall space. These right here are mill spun yarns, and they are all from my animals, except for these up here that are from my animals that I spun. They make beautiful blankets, because here's another one that I used, and I call them weighted blankets because when you go look at what they say how much a weighted blanket should weigh, these kind of fibers are really heavy. They qualify. So I have a variety. I've tried to sort all of them by color now so that you can kind of see what I have. All of these are listed online. The ones that are not are still in a pile where I'm thinking about it. And I also reserve some because I like to create patterns and do things myself. I have snoods, hat patterns, little scarf patterns, shawl patterns. I do freeform knit and crochet. And then I just make lots of different stuff, just kind of playing around with ideas. So the orange one back there kind of has that 70s, 80s look to it, you know, the shaggy style. It's kind of fun. I like to see what I can do with something. So in terms of yarns, I have natural colors. I don't have a ton of them because, quite honestly, I'm into spinning color and texture, and the solid colors, they always just end up, even when they're art yarns, just seem to lose something unless you put them with something else. So of the type of yarns that I spin thick and thins. This is the thick and thin that I plied. This is the thick and thin that I did not. I do lamb's tails, and you're seeing them all in red right now because I've sorted everything by color. This one here is, these are knots. Then these right here are what I call super coils, and they're probably my best sellers because they have these little poofs that stick out, and when you're knitting, I always say pull them to the side that you want to consider to be your outside, and it ends up being kind of cool. Then this one here is very similar to a knot, but they're actually bullions. And what's kind of cute about them is that you can space them as far as or as close as you want. And, well, when you're doing the spinning. When you're actually knitting with it, they just fall where they fall. I usually go 18 to 20 inches, and that's kind of it. So then I have my my blues, and anything that kind of has a blue in it ends up being here. So even though it's not pure blue, it's there. My turquoises are there. I used to have a lot more blues, and this kind of rack here is a little bit pitiful. And then I have my greens here. Some of my greens I moved to the front table. I like to do things like add flowers or different motifs to the yarn so you can embellish with them. And most of my art yarns actually have some kind of 2-ply that you can see over there that go with it, and the 2-plies actually give you a lot of yardage for a lot less money than the art yarn. So I always say when you're looking for something to do, find your art yarn first and then go look for the other yarn. And then these are other ones here at the front, just generic kind of natural colors. And then my last section is shades of purple or anything that has some purple in it. I have more patterns here. Probably one of the most popular one I have is what I call the Twilight Collar, and it uses this. These are the super coils, and I alternate them with the 2-ply so they go further. And most of my super coils have enough yardage to make this particular pattern because it's probably my most popular. This shawl right here was designed for the Shenandoah Valley show a couple of years ago. This is the snood, kind of is a throwback to years ago. And then I have a watermelon shawl. And then my poncho that uses up scraps and pieces like that. So the patterns for most of these are available. If you were watching as I swung things by, you can see that I have a lot of roving. I tend to use a mill in Pennsylvania because she's able to handle merino and kid mohair without them being all pilly. And then I had a video of this. So talking about my YouTube videos, if you go look for Withers Kathy or Withers Wool, you can find videos. I've got some on there, and I've started listing all the rest of them. So I've been doing Thursday lives for quite a while now, and the videos have added up. So I'm going to go ahead and put all of them on there. It's kind of funny what people watch, and the animal ones seem to be the most popular there. The yarn and spinning are more popular on Facebook. So kind of, you know, it's different people looking at different things. Anyhow, if you subscribe to my channel, you'll see things as I post them. And I'm just starting, there's like 6 out there now. I'm just starting to post them, so eventually there'll be 20 to 30, and every week I'll be adding a new one to include some short animal ones running around the farm. This right here is my studio. Oh, and try to like my stuff if you like it. This sounds kind of begging, but it's true. You know, I get more exposure. Actually, everyone who posts gets more exposure when you like something. You don't have to buy it. And it's kind of fun to see who likes it, because I didn't know if you know it, but Facebook tells you who's liking your stuff. And it kind of creates a connection for me. So when I see you posting that you like something, it gets me really excited, because sitting here at home alone on a 22-acre farm with the animals and not being able to talk to people kind of gets depressing. So I actually have time to walk you through most of the rest of it. This right here, I'm not working down in the barn all that much anymore now that it's gotten cold. So if it's 65 degrees outside, I'm down here. If it's a day I advertise that my shop is open, which it usually is on Fridays and Saturdays, 11 to 2, it's an opportunity for people to actually come out using social distancing and check out what I've got going on. This area right here is the mannequin there. She's my favorite, and she's the one I use to photograph a lot of my finished goods. This is my area where I actually photograph because I have the best lighting coming in the windows there. Pretty soon I'll be doing a talk on weaving. I teach weaving on a one-on-one basis. I sit here and spin because if you look out my doors, the road that goes up to the main road that you turn off to come in is right there at the top. So I have a lot of different kind of things here. This area over here is where I lay things out, and I don't have my lights on and there. So this is a blanket that I'm making for my granddaughter Katerina. She lives out in Las Vegas, and I thought Southwestern colors would be cute. I did a presentation on crochet bullions, and if you're interested, go out and watch it. It's slightly long, but it gives you a cool idea on how I do freeform knit and crochet. This piece here is entirely crocheted, and it started out going to be a baby blanket. It was going to be from like over here to straight up there. I ran out of yarn, so I set it aside. And here she's now 4 years old, and it's kind of, if I don't get something done pretty quick, I'm going to have to go to the next size blanket. So I'm working and hoping to have it done by Thanksgiving. And I'm actually sewing it together now and making little pieces to fill in, so that'll be done. And then here's my my previous session was on spinning yarns to mimic the look of Indian or rainbow corn. So it's if you want to go look at those are available on Withers Wool under my videos, and within the next week they'll end up on my YouTube page. So I hope you enjoyed the quick overview of my shop. This is the kind of the workshop area. Downstairs I have a washing area set up with fleeces that have not been washed, with a dyeing area and a tumbling area. Nothing comes up here unless it's already been cleaned, so I don't have to worry about contaminating from one thing to another. And I'd love to have you come out and visit. So this is Withers Wool. Go look at my page, like it,